Patrick.
The Jacobite can call me, and the Jacobite I am. I stand for Scotland's laws and rights, I am the loyal man. And if that blood in here, they kill me and I die. The grave which I inhabit, it's Jacobite as I. I'm proud to be a traitor, cause it's to a tyrant crown. Against a form of slavery, I gladly stand my ground. I'll no accept the union with shotgun it was made. My rising won't be over until all debts repaid. It's the Jacobite you call me, and the Jacobite I am. I stand for Scotland's laws and rights, I am the loyal man. And if that blood in your yet kill me and I die, the grave which I inhabit, that's Jacobite as I. No more we'll take handouts with the cap in hand. I'll see the servile chains stay broken in this land. And I'll see my people honoured with the life that they deserve. And I'll fight them with my dying breath, and that you have my word. It's the Jacobite they call me, and the Jacobite I am. I stand for Scotland's laws and rights, I am the loyal man. And if that blood in you, they kill me and I die, the grave which I inhabit, that's Jacobite as I. There'll be no more clearances except we'll clear away. No longer am I waiting for a prince over the sea. Now it's in our own hand, our hope and destiny. If you call yourself a Jacobite, come and stand with me. It's the Jacobite they call me, and the Jacobite I am. I stand for Scotland's laws and rights, I am a loyal man. If that blood in moor, you kill me and I die, the grave which I inhabit, that's Jacobite as I.
The world, and welcome or welcome back. So, how are we doing tonight, guys?
Sorry?
How are we doing tonight?
How are we doing? Well, yeah, we're here. I'm here. Angela's here, which always brightens things up.
Thank you.
It was a pretty depressing subject this afternoon, wasn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
Reality often is, isn't it? That's just the way it is. So, and I doubt it's going to get much better tonight.
Yeah.
No, probably not. How are you doing, Angela, in the meantime?
Other than, like, you know, the crippling anxiety from the world collapsing, seems like I know it's not totally collapsing, but it feels like it. Other than that, yeah, good, great. Everything's fine.
It's insane.
I was just thinking what we need to do is send you a flag. You need a flag.
Yes, I could put
You
it
need
behind me.
flag behind you.
Amazing. I'll pay for the postage.
Yeah. We can all have a flag.
Flag too, if you need. I don't mind. That would be awesome.
You can use your own flag, but it'd be nice if you had a Jacobite one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love that.
There you go. Yeah. Alex is in charge of that sort of thing.
Okay. We'll talk.
Just
dump it off on Alex.
Too busy still laughing at the insanity that we start thinking, well, apart from the crippling anxiety of the collapse of the known world.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Yeah. Crying and laughing, sometimes both.
At the same time.
And sometimes has to be both. It's the world we live in, and it is insane, and it makes no sense, and it's getting worse.
Yeah.
Because the fuckwits are getting worse. But
Yeah.
we'll try and make what sense of it we can, and we will try and bring you what we can bring you. If not to lighten things up, because it's unlikely to do that, then at least to, well, maybe not lighten, but illuminate possibly, and not in the dodgy sense
Not
that
an
somebody's
Illuminati
going to
way.
turn that into, someone's sure to turn that into us being anything we're not.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
not in an Epstein kind of way.
No, not in. No, most definitely not.
Yeah.
So, remarkably, how it's remarkable how much that seems to have gone away. Nobody's talking about it, are they? So,
Yeah.
it's been supplanted by other things.
Yeah, oddly that.
A lot of
Very
things
odd.
have. Even the ICE stuff in America or in the US is not really being talked about now. It's been Nancy Guthrie and now the Iran stuff, you know, and everything else connected to it. As far as
I've got a little piece about Hillary Clinton.
oh yeah, a little bit of that.
Little bit of that. There won't be any slides, mainly because I don't like looking at her. Not for that piece. So I've neglected to put any slides in there on purpose.
I don't blame you.
No, that's understandable.
Yeah.
Every time you put Trump up for too long, someone says, take him down. Take him down.
Rising nausea.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. No. Plus, I'm utterly convinced that Hillary Clinton's legs aren't real.
The legs are real or aren't real?
Aren't. I don't. I think she's got some kind of false legs, because I am sure she has hooves. She has. That woman has got hooves. Yeah. I'm sure I've seen a picture of her in an off-guard moment. Either that, or she's some kind of shapeshifter.
That's a possibility.
Something else supposedly had hooves too.
Yeah, could be. I think that's why I don't like
for the future.
I don't like looking at her. She gives off some kind of bad energy.
Yeah.
That's the kind of slightly insane smile she has.
Yeah.
And wild staring eyes.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. She's a very badly constructed robot. Or she's some kind of shapeshifter. That's what I think, anyway.
Well, I was going to bring us into your first one, really, with Khameni, but if you want to do Hillary,
no, I'll save Hillary.
You'll save Hillary for later.
I'd rather push Hillary as far to the back of the queue as possible. So, this is obviously spun off from this afternoon. So the world found out today that Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khameni, who we can see here at slide 1, because I don't mind looking at this one. There he is. Well, he was killed in a joint Israeli-American attack. And when I woke up this morning, I thought, no, this might be misinformation, but it was actually confirmed by Iranian state media in the early hours, and it was an airstrike, obviously, that hit his compound on Saturday. It was also announced that his daughter and his son-in-law and his grandson were killed as well in that attack. So it was a family thing. They wiped out his family. Now, Khameni had been at the heart of the Islamic Republic, ever since the 1979 revolution. So I thought I'd take a look at his life and his rise to power. Okay, so it was quite old. I think it was 80. He was 86. He was born in 1939, and he was born in the holy city of Mashhad. And this is what Mashhad looks like today. Slide 2, please, Alex. And unlike many portrayals of Iran as some kind of third world hellhole, Mashhad, like every other city in Iran, is a modern, thriving city. This is downtown Mashhad. Okay. Khameni was he was the son of a prominent Shia cleric, and he actually began his own religious studies at the age of 4, and he eventually advanced through the seminaries of Najaf and Qom, and this is the seminary of Najaf at slide 3. It's quite an ancient institution, and at Qom he became a student and a close ally of Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, with which he shares a common surname. I'm not sure that they're related. I'm not sure how popular or how widespread the surname Khomeini is in Iran. And this is the man here at 4 who we became very good friends with. And you will also recognize that face as being the first Ayatollah, of Iran from 1979. Well, during the 1960s and the 1970s, Khomeini was an active, not this one, the one that was just been killed. This man died a few years ago. He was an active opponent of the Pahlavi monarchy, which had been returned to power after the overthrow of the government led by Prime Minister Mossadegh in 1953. So that was when the Shah was installed by an American and British orchestrated coup, and Khomeini was arrested many times by the Shah's secret police, the Savak, who we can see in action here at slide 5. That man there just round the corner is a member of the Savak who has just shot that student, and this is from the 1970s. The girl falling down there. Okay, now it looks like she may have been armed herself. I don't know if that's a gun flying through the air. But the Savak were known for they were really known for their savagery in putting down anti-monarchy protests and anti-monarchy sympathies. And Khomeini ended up not only being arrested several times, but he was also then exiled by the Shah's regime. But he returned to play a key role in the 1979 revolution. And after the revolution, he went on to hold several senior posts, including he was the Minister of Defense for a period, and he was the supervisor of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC. And in 1981, he actually survived an assassination attempt when a bomb was placed in a mosque that he was delivering a speech at, which we can see here at slide 6. So that's the aftermath of the bomb attack. And this attack left him unable to use his right arm for the rest of his life, basically. So he was actually injured, but he survived. Okay. Now, later in 1981, he was elected as Iran's first clerical president. And that was a post that he held through the rest of the Iran-Iraq war, which had started in 1980 and went on, obviously, till 1988. Now, this war actually reinforced his distrust of the US, and it influenced his belief in maintaining what he called a stance of forward defense. So he always believed that Iran should be on the defensive. And we can see, obviously, a slide of the Iran-Iraq war here at slide 7. Okay, just one. Now, in 1989, he was appointed supreme leader following the death of Ayatollah Ruhollah Khameni, so the first Ayatollah. So he was the second Ayatollah to be appointed, and when he was appointed, he said, "I believe I do not deserve this position," and he was always a very humble man. He said he didn't really feel like he should be in that position. But despite his own kind of early doubts, he went on to implement strategies that really defined Iran's not only domestic, but also its regional position. He went on to define the attitudes of modern Iran today, really. He expanded the Revolutionary Guard, and he established what he called the axis of resistance. This is what has been long called the axis of evil, but it was the axis of resistance, and he developed networks of allies such as Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis. He also promoted Iranian self-reliance. He believed Iran should be able to support itself in order to mitigate the effects of, stringent international sanctions that have been ongoing ever since the revolution. And he was always open to negotiations. One of sort of his big achievements was the 2015 nuclear deal. That was as a direct result of his attitude that you should always negotiate. Now, despite all of this, his leadership did face several and kind of recurring unrest, and there were protests in 2009 and in 2022, and also protests last year that we saw. Slide 8, please, Alex. Now, these protesters are actually outside the Iranian embassy in Turkey, but I just thought it highlighted that. All right. Now, Khameni always maintained that these demonstrations were fomented and facilitated by the Western imperialist powers. That's what he always said. And he refused, moving on, he actually refused to leave his compound in Tehran when this conflict started, saying, "If I am to die, then I will remain with the people and face what they have to face." That's what he said. in one of his last speeches, he declared, "Intelligent people who know Iran and its history would never speak to this nation in threatening language, because the Iranian nation will never surrender. And the US should know that any US military intervention will undoubtedly cause irreparable damage." And this is a slide of his compound after the attack. Let's slide 9, please, Alex. That's the compound there in the center. Which if you're on your phone, obviously it's quite a small picture. But if you're on a laptop or you've got it up on the TV, you can actually see that it was struck several times. Okay. And as I said, not only was Khameni himself killed, but also his daughter, his son-in-law, and his grandson. Now, Khomeini's death will not break the Iranian nation, because despite the title Supreme Leader, Iran has a government and a very devolved decision-making process, to the point where military commanders are given virtual autonomy, and it's for just this purpose. Khomeini understood that when Iran faced attack, they would try to take out the political hierarchy, the actual people who run the country. And for that reason, Iran has been set up in such a way as to be able to run almost independently, each division of the government being able to run itself without the need for this top-down hierarchy. The state will not collapse. It won't collapse just because of his death. And even so, plans to elect another to take his place are already underway. And there are several candidates in the frame. Now, public mourning took place today in Tehran, which we can see here at slide 10. This is just some people out on the streets in Tehran mourning his death. And there's going to be a 40-day mourning period that has been announced by the government. And after this, there will be elections for his replacement. So that's a kind of brief look at the Ayatollah. The title Supreme Leader, well, even Khameni described that as more of a sort of a ceremonial title. He never thought of himself as a dictator, nor was he, nor is the position of Ayatollah one of absolute rule. He is the country's top religious leader, and because Shia is very important, it's the very foundation of the revolution. Therefore, that makes the highest religious leader very important in the country. But it doesn't mean in any respects that he ran Iran, that he ran the country. This was done by the government and all its branches. So it's hard to imagine that just taking out this one man would cause any kind of collapse within Iran. Okay, so that was a brief look at his life, and eventually we'll have a new Ayatollah. But in the meantime, Iran will continue just as it has, ever since the revolution. Okay.
Okay. And that's the thing, immediately, or not immediately before, but in the run up to this last conflict, when America was making more and more threats, the rumors were coming out saying that he'd already put in place for every position that he controlled at least 4 the line of succession almost in for each position, so that they couldn't cause chaos with a decapitation strike.
Yeah. And there's a very wise strategy, really. I mean, it's like having planned redundancy in any system, isn't it? It was obviously clear to the Iranian government that, and to Khomeini himself, that this was what the tactic was going to be. To try to take out as the regime, as it's called. It always fascinates me that some countries seem to have regimes, which is nobody ever says the Trump regime. Nobody ever says the Starmer regime. We seem to apply this term to people we don't like. Anybody who we don't like, they're the leader of a regime, as if there's some kind of tyrannical hated figure in the country that's oppressing the country. Like take anywhere that's been attacked. None of them have had proper government. They've all had regimes. Whereas we never apply that term to ourselves or anybody that we consider, to be on our side. So there are regimes and there are administrations or governments, and that is a deliberate. It's deliberate. It's done deliberately to give that impression.
I mean, I have been known to refer to some of them as Starmer regime or the whatever, because it feels like it. But it doesn't in its literal definition mean anything with less authority, but it does in perception, and it's all about perception. It's like these are not. You don't hear that Israel and the US carried out an attack on Iran. You hear they carried out a preemptive strike. Preemptive of what? What are you preempting? Iran had no intention of striking you. But as soon as we make it preemptive, a preemptive strike, we change the whole definition of what happened. We rewrite history. We rewrite. It's 1984 on steroids. We are rewriting history before it's even been written.
You take that word preempt, that couple of words, preemptive strike. If you substitute that for unprovoked attack, then that gives you a better idea of what a preemptive strike is. It's illegal under international law. Not that counts for squat anymore, but under the UN Convention, it is an illegal act to preemptively strike your neighbour or any other country without it being part of a. If it was passed by the UN Security Council, then that gives it the stamp of legitimacy under international law. But nobody bothers asking them anymore. I mean, Trump doesn't even bother asking Congress. Why should you bother with that? That's unnecessary democracy, isn't it? And as Huckabee said, we're not a democracy. We're a republic, and people should realize that and just go and sit down and shut up, basically. Anyway, you live under the Trump regime, Angela. How do How are you finding it?
Well, yeah, it does qualify as a regime. Probably a few other things. No, it's yeah. I think America is finding out like in real time. A lot of people are going to be shocked, I think. Like a lot of us saw that this was what was going on in the background, and everything was kind of an illusion, an illusion of your right to choose and do all this stuff. But it's like giving a toddler like a choice. Do you want to wear this shirt or that shirt today? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It's limited, and so like they limit it to everything to crappy, really bad people to vote for, and so.
Yeah. Very
Also,
similar.
I've read that he's thinking of postponing the midterms. I read that on a news article. Yeah.
That would not surprise me in the least.
Yeah.
That's straight out of the Emperor Palpatine's playbook, isn't it? Let's cancel elections. We don't need elections, especially if they're going to show me in a bad light. Especially if I might lose my majority in the House or the Senate. Yeah, Starmer did exactly the same. He tried to cancel the May elections because he knew he was going to get hammered. He knew he was going to get pasted. Well, substitute any term you like in that space. But yeah, and that's exactly what it is. But we're seeing this everywhere. The other day I was talking about the this thing that the EU want to bring in, this what they call a democracy shield, in order to shield the EU from democracy, as far as I can see. And they're openly talking about making sure elections are, making sure elections go the way that they really ought to, not electoral interference, just guidance and banning of parties. Things like that.
Yeah. They're tightening the reins.
Yeah, exactly. Tightening those reins, tightening that noose, making sure that silly people like you and me and all the other idiots out there don't make the wrong decision. Something that we need to keep them in very, very tight guidelines. So yeah.
All of the censorship and control on like speech and then thought crimes and everything. It's like it's spreading like wildfire, just like you said, the cancellation of elections so that somebody can be in power indefinitely, and basically they're a dictator.
That's exactly what it is. The operation of their regime. That's where we are, I believe. We are in the era of regimes. In the same sense that it used to be applied to other countries.
Yep, absolutely. So it's crazy over here. You have to dig for information, really. That. And then you have to try to compare it to other information to see if it's valid or not. So much crap. Everywhere.
Good practice, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. It's very easy to take things at face value, but you can't trust anything anybody says. Even if they swear things under oath, I still don't trust the bastards. They're capable of lying under any circumstances, I believe.
Bill Clinton, the only reason he told the truth eventually on that Monica Lewinsky was because she didn't wash her dress and his DNA was on it.
Yeah.
Of course, he's
It
not
won't be
going
as-
to admit to anything this time around because there's no DNA connecting him, and he lied to begin with her anyway, with Lewinsky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
I
that he
don't know
knows
if he's
about
still
anyway.
alive, honestly. Probably because everybody knows.
Pretty much. I,
Yeah.
yeah. He is married. Well, I'm not sure that was ever a proper marriage, but he is married to the Hoover
Yeah.
one. You know. So what do you expect? Yeah. He's probably got false legs as well.
Yeah.
I suspect a lot of people of having false legs.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, being replaced. I feel like something weird. You know how like Epstein's ears were different, Ghislaine Maxwell looks different. Did you see the picture of Jim Carrey?
Mm.
He looks
Yeah.
weird. Not the same. If it's the same person, he's got something going on with a puffy face or something. I don't know. His voice sounds a bit different, but everybody's voice changes with age too. But
It's been going on for a while. Why did
it's that uncanny valley, you know, feeling.
yeah.
Yeah. We know the sound plays up, guys, in the comments, but there's now what we can do about it for the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, is it still?
It'll
I
be
was
fixed.
hoping it would be better, but I'll be going into the car hopefully in about 20 minutes.
I feel awful being
About 20 minutes. We have to make poor Angela get in the
I'm
car.
so sorry.
Yeah.
I disconnected from the internet, hoping maybe that was the issue, but because the internet's been sluggish ever since we started doing that Friday night into Saturday in Iran as well.
Uh-huh.
It's been spotty. So to listen to videos, I've had to disconnect from the internet at times and just run on cell signal.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just not so-
Huh?
Why did nobody have a question? Why did nobody have a question that Joe Biden grew as he got older?
Yeah.
Why did nobody ever question that? Why is he like 2 inches smaller than he used to be? When it's not normal for old people to grow, they normally start shrinking. No, there's nothing to see here. What are those strange wrinkles at the back of his neck? Oh, it's just loose skin. It's just loose skin. Something very odd was going on with that man.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And with some of them, with their videos, when you listen with these people, I get the uncanny valley, not visually, but in my brain, in my ears, from hearing them. It doesn't sound like they don't speak the way a normal person would speak, regardless of where you're from. Sometimes, not all the time, but every now and then. And the brain goes, "Oh, that's not right." I don't know if anyone else has ever.
There is that feeling, isn't there? There's a creepy
I don't think
feeling
there's
about
a
it.
normality anyway.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, and I don't know about Biden growing or any of the rest of it. The reason I don't get too deep into it, because then you get people start shouting about them all being cloned and all being dead or in different
Yeah.
So I kind of don't get too deeply in it. I'm not saying there aren't some peculiarities, but there is a detachment from normal reaction. And we saw that right back. And for somebody who keeps saying about it's yesterday's battle, I don't have to keep going back to COVID days, but we saw it with Whitty. Do you remember when that kid challenged Whitty in the street? And he just, no reaction, nothing. Now, normal people is to either get angry or to laugh at that person or to do something. He just completely didn't react. And it wasn't normal. It was not normal.
Wow.
Weirdness.
So there is something strange, and I don't know if it's anything outside of the ordinary, or it is just that belief in utter superiority, that belief that they're above everybody else, and they, you know what I mean? It's you. I'm not even need to respond to you. I just scrape you off my shoe, sort of attitude.
I think the first person I ever noticed, first politician that I got very close to, not physically, like we were buddies, were I was just physically close to him, was Ed Miliband. And he is a strangely unanimated lump of almost boneless. He just sits there looking vacant. And I've described this in several times on this show. He sits looking vacant until it's his turn to speak. And then all of a sudden, it's like somebody's turned him on. And he's all animated and he's waving his sausagey fingers about and he's dancing about and saying all this stuff. And then he stops and flops back into a heap again. Almost unresponsive to anybody, just vacantly staring. So again, weird behaviour. Very weird behaviour. But nah.
It's true. Because I watched the same sort of thing with Boris in the years. Because yes, I'll admit I went to the. I might have voted for him in the leadership elections. I was an idiot. I wanted Brexit. I wanted Brexit because I saw the EU as a forerunner of a new world order.
Yeah,
and I still don't disagree with that concept. It's just that we never left. They never really let us leave, and they have every intention of taking us back in through the back door. But he did exactly the same. There was that, and as I saw it at the time, I just saw it as a persona. Because in the wrestling world, you have a persona, and your persona will either be the opposite of who you are, or it'll be an extension of your personality. It can go either way, because people either like play a part, or it's bigger, bolder, everything they are, but bigger and louder. And that's what I watched Boris do that, and exactly. I hadn't thought of it in that way, but he was kind of sort of nothing and just sort of no animation, nothing beforehand. And then suddenly when the Boris persona came on, he was, well, everything that everyone knew Boris, and the hair and the out and the arms and the and all of this sort of thing. And he put it on. He put it on like a tie or like a jacket and took it off again. I didn't really think about it sort of flopping into nothingness, but he kind of almost did in many ways. It's maybe all that they are is that character. Maybe they're nothing beyond that.
Like actors. Yeah, almost just playing a role, saying the lines, and then, exiting stage left. Yeah. Very, very strange. But I think that's a very good way now of looking at politicians, especially in public, because they are just acting, they are playing a role, acting a part, and saying all the right things, especially when it comes to elections. Of course I can promise everyone that, you're all going to be richer and obviously better looking, and, I should think by this time next year you will all have a new car, and and life will be great, and there'll be roses and daisies growing in your front yard. They'll promise you anything, and then the moment they're elected, I can't remember saying any of that. No, this is our policy now. I don't know, shackles for everyone. So. That seems. I mean, and nobody even expects politicians to even try to fulfill their promises. That's gone. We just. It's kind of tacitly understood that everything they promise you prior to an election is just lies. It just feels that way.
Yeah. It really is. It really is. It's not getting any better the further we go on with it. So
it's not, and you can tell, like, when anyone who breaks their role, they're instantly nixed, removed.
Yeah.
Regardless of how.
Yeah.
You've transgressed. You've stepped outside of the parameters of your, what you're supposed to be doing. Yeah. And woe betide you ever tell anybody the truth. My God, that's the cardinal sin, isn't it? You can't go around telling people things the way it is.
No. Can't be doing that.
Then you'll be labeled a domestic terrorist, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, politicians in the past never. Obviously, the art didn't seem quite as perfected in the past, because politicians would often say things that today would not pass muster as what you should say. I mean, for instance, Churchill said, "Well, I can't promise you anything apart from blood, sweat, and tears."
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what? Yeah, I'm not. No, I don't want to do that. No, I'll vote for him.
Yeah, in some ways it was more honest. Not that I would like to say
exactly what I'm trying to say.
Churchill, but
it was honest, a little bit more honesty.
Yeah, I'm not saying total honesty,
I
but
mean, I have no time for Winston Churchill.
Right.
A lot of people regard him as a national hero. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
but like most heroes, he's very, very
a
flawed.
national hero, and I can't stand him either.
Statues to many people I can't stand.
Though I'm not. Though I wouldn't I wouldn't advocate for taking them down or destroying them because of them.
No,
because it's still a country's history. You can't take away the bad bits. It's still the history. You can't rewrite it.
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't have to, but they try a lot.
I mean, if you can have a statue of Baphomet, then you can have a statue of Margaret Thatcher. Do you know what I mean?
That's right.
Valid point.
History.
It's a valid point, for sure. Yeah.
I wonder if you destroyed that or burnt that one, whether that would be an insult to the Epstein class.
I suppose somebody tried that. Okay. Where are we?
I'm gonna mute and go unlock the front door.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Off she goes.
What's she
got going on the house plants by the looks of it? I'm just nosy. I like to know what's going on there. Yeah, there's some nice plants there. Okay. A little purple light, probably a grow light, something like that. Where's Angela gone? To unlock the front door?
Unlock the front door or something.
Ah, right.
I think she's going to relocate to the car when she can.
Yeah.
Because it fixes the sound one. We haven't worked out.
That's it.
No worries.
Well, I had the storm door locked, and the key was lost for it, so I had to unlock it from the inside.
All right.
I better stay safe.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like people sneaking up on me, so.
No. That's point. We should see. So if we ever start showing behind you, look.
Right, I know.
Who was it who used to do that to you, Alex? And they used to say to you things like, "That door around you just open."
Yeah, Bruce does it when he's in the chat. Because I looked round. Because the first time somebody says that, you don't think anything of it. You think, what the fuck? Because I looked round and reacted, I used to get it every show.
Oh, that's funny.
So, but anyway,
I look at every sound and anything in my peripheral that gets my attention, and I don't know. I'm very aware. Makes it hard to sleep sometimes.
Yeah.
Even when I was a kid. So.
Yeah. The thing I don't like is when you catch something in your periphery and you turn around and there is nothing there.
Yeah.
And it feels like you're reacting to something that should be there, and yet it isn't.
Maybe it was.
Maybe it was. It probably was. I am a believer in spirits. So, yeah.
I am too. Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm sure in this house I've got haunted smoke detectors because they just go off randomly with no purpose whatsoever.
Huh.
There is no smoke, there is no fire, you know, like we haven't even burnt any bacon or anything, you know, they just go off.
That is strange.
That's weird, just weird. But, although it does feel a very nice house, you know, there's no, I don't get, you know, sometimes when you walk into somewhere, it just feels creepy,
Yeah.
No, you can always tell.
Yeah. Yeah. You can tell if it's good or bad or neutral, I think.
What it feels like.
Yeah.
There you go. And I very much think that's the case with politicians and people like that. You can just look at them. You can look at them and say, "You just look dodgy." You know, there's something about you that's giving off a strange smell.
Yeah, like cancer. Sorry.
Yeah, like dogs can smell cancer.
Yeah.
They reckon that, don't they? Dogs can smell cancer.
Yeah.
Do you look at any of them and think the opposite?
No, I think that most of them, but that might be my fault.
Because I don't think of any really, certainly none in the Western world that I look at and think, yeah, you've got the right idea for this country. No.
Yeah. It seems that every single one of them that I have like started to be like, oh, this one might, you know, be onto something and have like a good head on their shoulders, like Tulsi Gabbard, you know, and then it's just like, no, they keep, and then Massey, he seems to be like on the side of wanting to get everything released with Epstein files, but there has to be something coming up with him too. Who knows? Because none of them are, you know, I feel like none of them got to where they are by being entirely good.
No. It's an undercurrent of corruption, which they have ridden to get to where they are, I think. Yeah. I think that starts early on. Starts early on at the lower levels when you're just in kind of local, maybe even local councils, things like that. We have a particular problem in this country when it comes to planning committees, because they're notoriously corrupt, and that's half the sort of corruption scandals that you hear about are to do with planning and planning permission and things like that. Because there's an awful lot of us living on a small island, and so you know, getting permission to build new things takes a bit of greasing of the wheels.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah. The planning here is not very good either.
What the same.
Some of the roads feel like you're driving on the moon.
Well, we've got the same people who maintain our roads, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are potholes on the motorway, on the freeway, what you call that would you know, that would take your tire out if you're not aware of them.
Yeah.
Really, really bad.
Yeah. The worst are unsuspecting when they're full of water.
Oh yeah, you don't know how deep they are.
No.
Yeah. So, well, I can mute it again if it's being staticky. If you guys want.
No, that's fine for now. I was going to say, well, if we've exhausted that subject, which I think we have, we'll move on to your offering. So when it's just you, it doesn't do it. So we should be fine.
Okay. Well, I was just going to bring up the correlation between the high statistics in the United States of school shootings compared to the rest of the countries and the rest of the modern world. Like the G7 nations. I have a few slides. If you want to put slide number one up, please, Alex. And so the United States has significantly higher number of school shootings than any other country, with 288 incidents between 2009 and 2018. outnumbering other G7 nations combined by a factor of 57. This figure represents roughly 73% of all mass shootings in developed countries. Comparisons briefly are compared to that 288 in the US, 8 in Mexico, surprisingly. And they're allowed to own guns too, handguns, hunting rifles. They have a much stricter process. They have to have 6 documents to prove that they're allowed to own them. And there's only one place in the entire country that has the weapons that you can go and purchase them at. So there's a lot there, but South Africa is 6, Canada is 2, combined France, Germany, UK, and Japan is 0 to 2. So then slide number 2, please, Alex. So let's see. Sorry, 1 second. Can't paper to separate. Let's see. All right, so during 2011 to 2022, we had the greatest number of incidents. I'm sorry, 2019 and 2020, we had the highest number of incidents, and I'm sure that had to do with the pandemic. It seems like a lot of assault, physical assault, regardless of how it was extremely high during that time, and abuse. But the mass shootings in the 35 comparison countries similar to the United States have also increased. The rise in attacks across the countries emphasize the need for further consideration of the phenomenon as a whole, because there's a lot of copycat. People like to copycat and what they see for some reason, I think, to get their own notoriety, because everybody is so, all the selfies people take a ton. There's nothing wrong with taking some, but the younger generations are obsessed with getting the right angle, and just so I feel like everybody's self-absorbed. So if they see someone else getting attention and they're in this need for attention in this country a lot, I see, even if it's bad attention, they don't care. I don't know how much of like the government and like the stuff that could be included in some of this mix, and the medications that they are on, but it's all, it feels like it's all connected to the world stage. So let's see. I'm sorry, can we go to slide 4, Alex, and skip 3? That one's repetitive. Actually, this one is as well, I'm sorry. So the United States makes up 33% of the combined population of 36 countries. It also accounts for 76% of public mass shooting incidents and 70% of victim fatalities, which is crazy considering we're like 5% of the world population. It's pretty sad. So slide 5, please, Alex. Yeah, there it is, 5%. And we account for roughly 33% of the world's mass shooters. The firearm death rate is children, teens between 1 and 19. In the US is 9.5 times higher than in Canada. Obviously, they're not allowed to have guns, really, like handguns. But they still get them. Let's see. I'm trying to find what's not repetitive. Sorry, here we go. The context of all this, the factors contributing to it, that's the one that I meant to circle, sorry. Disparity include high civilian gun ownership, cultural factors, or I would like to say lack of, and gaps in mental health care. but I think it's all also by design from our from the get-go, because when the education system was created, it was stated basically that they didn't want a country of thinkers. They wanted a country of doers and workers. So they wanted people who would do what they're told, and that's what they're about to get again. Like, I mean, not again, but like it feels like it's all culminating and coming to bearing the ugly fruit. So slide number 6, please, Alex. Here's a graph on the percentages just to give you a visual image, how extremely high it still is. And that's the numbers just since 2019, I believe it was. Yeah, okay.
Is that the actual number of shooting incidents or the number of people that have died?
No, number of incidents, and that's not the total. That's just the total since, I'm sorry, between 2000 and 2022. So that was within a 2-year period.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So during the very beginning to almost middle of the pandemic.
Sorry.
It's okay. So then slide number 7 is my last slide, and really the main part of this one that I wanted to highlight, the important thing to note is China and Japan have had the highest rates of public mass stabbings. So like a lot of people have been saying, it's not a gun problem, it's a human or a heart or a moral problem. People will find, I mean, handguns are easier, you can kill more people more quickly, unfortunately. But like I said, it's by design, I think. Our country, the US anyway, has several different, multiple pieces to our puzzle, but our country plays a larger piece to the large puzzle of the world, I believe. So because the aggression seems to be kind of instilled at a young age, not that it's not in some other, but they know how to control it. Here there's no control. There's no control. That's why we have so many overweight people here too. There's no control on food consumption either, and junk food. But the world has to have a country that is the constant aggressor for the things to move forward the way that the people that run the world want it to. And then you have to have people that everybody knows is innocent of doing these things, but they just, keep. Anyway, it's just it's a really unfortunate, humongous puzzle.
So what you're kind of hinting at there, Angela, is that a country with a large military and a country that has an aggressive posture in the world needs an aggressive population, and that the spillover from that is that they tend to take out that aggression on each other because there's no other direction for it to go. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, and you know how you say the politicians, they play a role, the costume fits. Well, America's playing this role right now, or the U.S., because the costume fits. And we have been for a while.
We quite often have stabbing incidents, but a lot seem to be related. Quite often they're gang related, or they're to do with sort of low level crime and drugs and things like that. Drug dealers and people like that. But I think it's also a culture. If, for instance, you're a young person and those around you, you know, people are carrying knives, the tendency is for you to want to carry a knife yourself from the aspect of self-defense. And so that culture spreads, I think.
Yeah.
And the availability of firearms in Britain is well, it's very hard, and it's particularly hard for younger people to get access to things like that.
Yeah.
Things have to be locked away, you know, in inspected safe cabinets and things like that. And there is a licensing system, and you can't get your hands on a handgun anyway.
Yeah.
They're banned. So yeah, and for a hunting rifle, the hoops are pretty. You know, there's a lot of hoops and there's a lot of questions. So
Yeah.
it's doable, but I do think you're on the right lines, because it almost feels like a cultural thing. It's the prevalence of especially school shootings. You know, rather than say workplace shootings or I don't know, shootings in public, it seems to be particular to school, and that is the interesting thing. You've either got a hell of a lot of unhappy children, or there's something about the school system that causes them to want to do this. I don't know. I don't know. What's your opinion?
My opinion, I remember when the schools were it seems like completely different to me anyway. Now it's like they've been trying to keep up with what the US says is how China, you know, teaches their children. It's not the same. That's just what they're saying. They want you know, certain numbers on tests, and that's it. And they don't care if the kids are, you know, in shape, you know, physically fit, or if they've had enough exercise. My children, nobody really cares to sit there in a desk. We had more freedom in school. When I went to high school, some of the teenage boys, like in the 11th, 12th grade, maybe above me, when I first got in, they were still like, had a gun rack in the back window of their truck, you know. Nobody would have thought once about bringing it into the school and killing people. I mean, but that was that was a long time ago. That was in the 80s, you know.
Yeah.
So, but it's drastically gone down. Yeah.
There's definitely been a shift in that culture. I don't know. What's your opinion on it?
I've always asked that kind of question, because it's always asked about, it's always used by the anti-gun lobby to push sort of disarming people. And I think we're triggering people in the comments. So I'm getting, which states? Also, how many shootings were committed by illegal guns? Look at the details. And I don't think anything that Angela's trying to say is anything to do with gun ownership or anything else.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Negative
It's just
to that. But
connecting the lines.
Yeah. But that's what's always used, and that's what it's always used to push an agenda, to push it one way and to push that argument. And I've kind of always said we're asking the wrong questions. We shouldn't be asking how they can get hold of guns or what the guns do. We should be asking what's wrong with the school system that so many people want to go shoot it up. Because
and what's wrong at home?
Behavior.
Sorry. Yeah. I feel like it also what's wrong at home too.
Yeah,
maybe. I think
so very few people, if you're going to do a mass shooting, very few people are going to use a gun that's legally registered to them. Yeah. So they're very unlikely to be legal weapons. You can argue that they could be legal to a parent or to a guardian, and they've got hold of them that way, and that does
many
happen.
times they are, yeah.
But it's not usually licensed to the person using them, so it is in that sense an illegal firearm.
Yeah.
So it's not the gun ownership. It's not the gun ownership that's the issue. The issue is what's going wrong, who's falling through the gaps of what system that if this is genuine, and if it's not, because sometimes there's questions, and sometimes there's questions as to whether there's more than a narrative, but some sort of allowing it to happen to use it scenario.
Yeah.
But if it's the ones that are genuine, the ones that seriously happen, then somebody has been allowed to fall through a system that's not analysing what's going on. And yes, that could be, well, as I said, now drugs and guns go hand in hand. And yes, it can be a wider problem. But it's still, even somebody who's off their heads on drugs or whatever else, there still has to be something there that makes you think, oh, what I'll do today is I'll take this gun and I'll go shoot my former classmates, or I'll go shoot. Normal people don't think like that. Something is going wrong for that to be a recourse for so many people.
Yeah, there's a disconnect from humanity or something going on wrong in the brain, maybe. I don't know. Because it doesn't have to do with the guns. It's not the gun. Just like it's not the knives anywhere else.
No. And if somebody has fallen through that thing and has got that intent, if they can't get a gun, they will get a knife. If they can't get a knife, they'll find something else.
A brick or a stone.
A brick or a stone.
Yeah.
I think I remember reading somewhere or seeing statistics. I think it's on Sweden. I think it's Sweden. Either Sweden or Switzerland. They have a very, very high level of gun ownership. And then people in the Swedish reserves, once you reach 18, you're eligible to you become a reservist in the army. You get called up, and then for a short time, and then you become a reservist. But you get to keep your rifle at home. So there are people with automatic rifles in Sweden, and yet they have no gun crimes.
Yeah.
They have no mass shootings. So that would say that it's not related to gun ownership. It's related more to something psychological.
Yeah. Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah. Also, if you look at the school shootings, this is something I would have to look up because I don't know the answer, but I bet the percentage of the parents whose children got a hold of these guns and committed these acts, the majority of them had never been in the military.
Mm. You're right.
You learn a lot of, you okay, Alex?
Yeah, we've got sound problems, but it's just the way it is.
I'm gonna move to the car real quick, okay?
Okay. Yeah, try that. It worked last time. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
You all right, Alex?
Yeah, got a bit of a cough, cold, whatever.
There's a lot of. It's that time of year for bugs, isn't it? And coughs and colds and snivels. Whenever the weather starts changing, now I'm sounding like an old lady. When the weather changes, yeah, I know. It always fascinates me how people dismiss a lot of these sort of folk sayings, but yet how many of them seem to be true. That this is not just nonsense; it's observational over lifetimes, tendencies and things like that. So I can't think of one off the top of my head right now, but there are hundreds of them.
There is so many. These call them old wives' tales.
Old wives' tales, yeah.
There's a quote in the I think it's Lord of the Rings, and it's about sort of should consider that old wives sometimes keep in their head things that it would be useful for the wise to know, or something like that. Yeah. And it is true, because things come from a reason. People know stuff for a reason. It is from generations, and some of them might be outdated and some of them might be questionable, but they come down from generation to generation for a reason, and there's usually a certain amount of truth in them.
Yeah. and it's natural that the repository of these things are old wives, because old wives have a great habit of being able to remember things, especially something you did wrong 25 years ago or even longer.
You didn't wake her up and say, "Get me dinner," did you, earlier?
I remember you embarrassed me in front of so-and-so in 1981. Really? I don't even remember in 1981. And that's why they always get you, because you can't remember, but they can tell you every nuance of it. We've got to be very, very, very careful.
Yeah.
I'm sure Angela will be at her car in a minute, unless she's got an extremely long drive. I mean, I don't know. What are you unwrapping there?
So one of my birthday presents, ironically.
Ooh, Drambu. I think I bought you that. Ooh. I could just have one of them right now.
Might be a little hard for me to pour it down the internet, but we'll see what we can do.
Oh yeah, why not?
Figured it might solve the coughing problem.
Oh yeah. A little bit of that, a little bit of a drink to sort you out.
Yeah. Anyway, just talk among yourselves or
yeah, that's what we're doing.
chatting around. It is always a question. It has always been my question: what goes on in the school system that leads to that?
Yeah.
And people are saying the old the state of they're saying about video games, they're saying about bullying, they're saying about all the different things like that, and the whole idea of and I always discredit the idea of video games affecting and making people violent, but the way Beth's actually phrased it in the comments is maybe it makes death and bloodshed surreal. And when I've always considered that as a nonsense idea that violent video games make people cross that line in real life, but having watched the last 2-3 years and people's response to, well, things like the genocide in Gaza, because it's not on their doorstep and all they're seeing is videos, and the first reaction to that video being, oh, it's probably AI, or they just actors, and all this sort of thing. Maybe I'm discrediting that idea too easily. Maybe it isn't real to people anymore. Don't know.
I certainly think there's an element of desensitization.
Yeah.
Because I mean, my grandson plays. He plays quite a few Call of Duty games, and that in essence is entirely just running around killing people. But he's not a particularly violent child. He's, it just seems to be part of his world. But whether or not that is acting in some sort of desensitizing way, I don't know. Because when you translate that into the real world, I think if you had any sensitivity to shooting someone, especially in a mass shooting, you would stop after the first one. You would be horrified at at what you've just done. But they don't. They carry on and they stalk the halls, killing people. I don't know. And I don't know how much of it might be just copycat culture. Maybe that's the way that it was. That's the way somebody else has taken out their feelings of whatever it is. So that's probably the route I should go, because that's the answer to it, isn't it? I don't know. Whenever you do see a lot of people who've committed acts, the first thing they're usually described as is mentally unstable. They have mental health problems. So there's either an awful lot of people running around with mental health problems, and if my grandson's school's anything to go by, 3/4 of the kids have got some kind of label You know, they've got some kind of special thing about them. I don't know. It's one of those eternal mysteries why this just keeps happening, and why in particular it is such a major problem in America. I don't have an answer. I really don't.
I don't know. I mean, when I was a little kid, I was allowed to watch scary movies, but they weren't really gory, you know? That was in the early 80s, maybe late 70s, well, no, not late, early 80s, early to mid, yeah, because I was allowed to watch them early. I don't know why. Yeah, but it was stuff like the old black and white Dracula and things like that. But if you look at the movies and everything now, the fake stuff looks so real, and the video games are completely different than when the first Nintendo came out, you know? And even like the ones after, I mean, every generation of that stuff gets more realistic or lifelike looking. And these kids didn't see the world in the what's the right word? They didn't see the world the way that we did before all of this came out. So they have nothing to compare it to. This is their normal. This is their normal now.
Yeah.
I feel
like I don't know if kids are any more violent than they've ever been.
Yeah. Well, but there's a lot more, like you said, mental health issues. They're not as happy in the schools anymore. And also the parents are not as involved in the schools. And it's not the parents necessarily. The schools don't want us in there because they don't want us calling them out on their bull crap. Yeah. Basically. So they got rid of all the parent-teacher associations, you know, pretty much.
Yeah, so you got no involvement. So this gives the school system free reign, free license to follow whatever path they want. I don't know if it's the same there, but our schools tend to be extremely aware of the likelihood that they might get sued. They're very aware of that, and one flake of snow falls and that's it, school closes. One, let's say 3 flakes to be let's be generous. Oh no, school's got today, snow day, that's it. Well, I remember going to school. I mean, I'm sure you do, Alex. You went to school whether it snowed or not. You just went to school.
We did too. Yeah.
We had about 2 snow days in my whole time at secondary school. And our school was they had a brook running through the school, and you'd get to certain parts of the winter and get higher and higher, and we'd be sit there willing this thing to flood. Because if it flooded, it flooded buildings. And it did that once in all the time I was there as well. I don't think they actually closed it that day. They just blocked off the building. But we used to will this thing. But it would get higher and higher and higher. And you'd think tomorrow it's going to burst the banks. And then tomorrow it'd be right down low again. And you think, well, you didn't think, fuck at the time because I didn't swear at the time. But can you imagine that? I never used to actually swear at all.
Actually, I think that is another thing, really. Now, I tell my daughter off all the time. She's got an 8-year-old son, and she swears in front of him. You know, she's and I said, Nicola, don't swear in front of him. It's not right. Oh, well, he's going to hear it anyway, isn't he? Well, no, I don't know. Perhaps I'm really, really old-fashioned. I mean, I used to swear like anything, and I still do. But I do try and limit it in front of children, because I just don't think they should, especially when they themselves get told off for saying anything. Like, you know, adults can scream and shout and swear. But if the child swears, suddenly it becomes a crime. That's not. and yet you just sat and listened to your parent swear at you. So surely that's just normal behaviour. We have to be very careful about things like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
We used to have a store in the top of a shopping centre, and it was like on the outside of one of the shops, and it was just like a kiosk sort of thing. And you got to watch all sorts going by. And the ones that always got me is the parent, and it's no disrespect or no sexism, but it's usually the mum dragging the kid along. And in this one we'll watch this stage, practically drag the kid the length of the shopping centre because he wouldn't walk. And it's, get fucking up. Don't you fucking swear at me, you fucking little...
Oh my gosh.
I wonder why he's swearing.
Where do you think he gets it from?
Where do you think he gets it from?
No. Do as I do, not as I do. As I say, not as I do.
Also,
not
that shows
that usually works very well.
That shows that the parent doesn't have very good like emotional regulation too. And so if the parent doesn't, how in the world is the child supposed to have magically, have this
somehow different. When the environment is the way it is,
unregulated.
Product of your environment, aren't you? And this is what I was talking about the other week when I was talking about de-evolution. And that was sparked basically by seeing a woman cross the road in dressing gown, pajamas and slippers at lunchtime. And, it was gone 12 o'clock during the day. And I thought, since when did that become acceptable in society, that you can just walk around in your pajamas because you just can't be asked to get dressed?
People of Walmart.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
If you want a good laugh.
Yeah.
I don't get that mentality. Why would you want to do that? I mean, I will just about get my milk in with my dressing gown on. If I'm going out to my gas meter, I have to be dressed. I'm not going out to the gas meter and thing, and that's only just on the sideboard of my house. But it's going down the shop. I've never understood that mentality. Why would you want to?
I don't know.
I'm not going to upset all the women in the audience by saying I have a problem with people breastfeeding in public as well. But
not at all.
I don't have a problem with them doing it. It's when they feel the need to push it in your face, almost literally in some cases.
Almost asking if you want a sip too. I'm just joking. No. I don't know anyone though that does that,
No,
I mean,
but it is
most women try to be kind of discreet, At least in America, they try to be. People are jerks here about that.
If baby needs feeding, baby needs feeding. I don't have a problem with somebody discreetly and they put the blanket over the baby and whatever. But it's this whole attitude that is perfectly natural, which yes, it is. There's nothing wrong with it, but so it's perfectly natural. So I don't care if that's what you have to stare with while you're having your meal. Well, quite frankly, I don't find that comfortable. And quite frankly, what that does to other men in the room when they've got no option but to stare at a woman's.
Exactly.
Well, if you're covered properly, you can't see, but
covered properly, fine. But you know what I mean?
Just be a bit discreet, it take away the baby from that situation, and it would be totally unacceptable behaviour, wouldn't it? Just to like not in Germany or places like that where women do walk around topless.
They've been trying to take the mother out of that situation too. Making men think they can breastfeed.
Yeah, that's a whole other story.
Chest
feeding. That's another one, really, because if you took the way they carry on, if you took the Pride Parade away from the way they carry on, you wouldn't do that in normal society either.
Oh God, no.
No.
And it's got nothing to do with what people do in their own homes.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't care who loves who.
Yeah.
Love is love. You know what I mean? I've got no problem. I have a problem with forcing viewpoints on kids, and I have a problem with well, carrying on in public the way you wouldn't normally carry on in public.
Yeah.
Outside of a pride parade, it would be very unusual for someone to walk down the street with their cock hanging out. That's not normal accepted behaviour. Apart from in that certain environment where it seems to be perfectly okay.
Or go
in
a nudist colony.
Going back to the pajamas thing, now you see sometimes if one of the kids stays overnight, I'll take them to school in the morning, and you see the same thing at the school in the morning. In fact, you see more of it. You see quite a few mums just in their pajamas, because they've probably only just got up,
Yeah.
I don't know. There is a general laziness in society. Things are just so laissez-faire and so easy that that I think people are adapting to that, and it's like the film Idiocracy. Idiocracy, if you ever watch that, if you extend that kind of attitude, you end up there.
Yeah.
That's where we're going.
Yeah.
Well, if we ever get there.
Yeah.
And people aren't quite as clean and neat and tidy as they once were. Some are, but not like it used to be.
Oh, no. Do you remember
my grandmother, she would have cloth napkins and china, and then plates that were for the holidays, and then the normal plates, and then there's paper plates for if you're just gonna grill. So it's and it was all in its space, and she polished the silver,
There was a bit of pride in your appearance, pride in your environment. And me and Alex, I don't know if you caught any of that. We were talking about what some people call old wives' tales, folk tale of sayings, and one of them was things like cleanliness is next to godliness, and that saying's basically saying that people who aren't cleanly, people who don't take care of their environment, their house. If your house is knee deep in empty pizza boxes and soda bottles and things like that, you're probably not living a very good life. You're probably quite a slovenly person who because it shows in your environment the way that you treat things. That's not to say that there aren't some probably quite bad things going on behind very neat, orderly houses. But in general, a tendency towards being slovenly and scruffy, and you've got a washing machine and an old freezer and whatever in the front yard or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're sat there on a couch in the front garden,
Yeah.
I don't know how to put it. It just is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true, and how people carry themselves, and
In this country, we don't have we do have what we call trailer parks. Not trailer parks, but strangely enough, it's the absolute opposite of American culture. Our trailer parks are full of people with a few, with money, and they're driving around in Jaguars and Range Rovers and things like that. It's not the same, absolutely not the same at all as kind of the idea of trailer park culture. I don't know. It's
more like how it is at the beach. Than the trailer parks at the beach are different than the ones out in the country in the middle of the states too. They're more rich, not rich, but better to do. Because anything on the coast is more expensive.
Because it's an extra home that you bought, and they are expensive. Well, it's not people's main residence. They're
Yeah, the
holiday
vacation home.
homes.
Yeah, holiday
Here,
homes. Yeah,
basically.
same. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, I don't know how we got there, but we've got
No.
there. Yeah, we started up from school shootings and we've gone to holiday homes. So,
the holiday homes sound nice.
yeah.
It does in
Oh,
some ways lead into my my first one in a way, though, because it's that whole mentality of not having let things go, but not seeing things in the same way, not viewing standards or priding in your surroundings or in your country and things like that. That kind of leads me on to the next question. Now, I'm not always saying that's always a good thing, because in some ways, when you look at our country and when you look at our parliament and our government, having some sort of pride in them isn't a good thing, really, because they certainly don't deserve that. But this was a story that caught my eye this afternoon when we were looking for subjects. And it says, Brits who refuse conscription could suffer humiliating alternative if World War III starts. Now, if you think this is something we've talked about before, it pretty much is, because we have, but it's because the press have talked about this before, talked about this over and over and over again. Because they've been printing stories about this and similar to this for at least 6 months and probably longer than that now. And they're getting more and more frequent. And in some ways, they're getting more and more obscure, because it was that phrase that caught my eye, not conscription or refusing conscription. It's Brits who refuse conscription could suffer humiliating alternative if World War III starts. Now, in typical style of newspaper stories nowadays, you don't actually come up with anywhere through the story what this humiliating alternative is actually going to be. It doesn't get mentioned in the story, and you're left with that same question. But the story basically starts now, and the story basically starts that the US and Israel have launched attacks on Iran, with the Islamic Republic reportedly striking back. And this is the argument it gives for why we need to be looking and having the conversation about conscription. Now, they've been doing this so long about Russia, and Russia's going to invade the West. Now it's Iran are striking back, so we need to consider this. And World War III fears are growing. Yeah, you don't say. Pretty much because they've just taken us into it. So maybe there's some reason for World War III fears to be growing. But then it goes on. We're going to take a look at what refusing conscription would look like for Brits. And it gives you the background. It tells you how the armed forces are the smallest they've been in 2 centuries. And it goes on about, we wouldn't be the first country to consider this, the first NATO country. There are 9 NATO countries that are already enforcing conscription. And Germany and France have considered the options, and they're pushing new voluntary versions. It then goes on and says that this is not just them saying it. The UK Strategic Defence Review Advisor, Fiona Hill, has claimed that World War III has already started. But she's claiming that Russia started it. But it goes on, and this is their argument. The UK has only very rarely employed full conscription from 1916 to 1920 during the First World War, and from 1939 to 1960 during the Second, with the last soldiers undertaking compulsory service leaving the armed forces in 1963. Currently, the 70,000-strong British Army is a highly trained professional force, but some would like to see these numbers significantly bolstered. And you can see the hints they're giving in that one. We need more people. we need to consider what we considered during the two wars. So immediately back to that idea of a wartime conscription. But then you start seeing why. Because they start giving you some stats and figures from recent surveys. Now, I've seen a few of these on gov.co.uk and all of these, or chat, YouGov, isn't it? Sorry, YouGov, the one I'm usually use. The one I say is a litmus paper for what they want you to think, or for what they want to twist your, so they want to know what you're thinking, so they know how to push the narrative, or they want to twist what you think. Well, from their figures, 11% of young people only have said they would be willing to fight for their country. This is in the UK. 41% have said they would not fight for their country under any circumstances. And then 38% have said it would depend on the reasons for any war. But 41% have said they would not fight for their country under any circumstances. That can't be a bad thing if they will actually keep to that. But then this story goes on about the people refusing conscription in the past. And it goes back to World War I. And it explains that in World War I, people who refused, that were named conscientious objectors, were subject to the death penalty in some countries. And they would literally face fines, criminal records, or imprisonment. And that could be long spells in prison, not just in prison, but in either solitary confinement or facing hard labour. But that they were all also under pressure and treated kind of as an embarrassment by the population in general. And they went on about how they would be handed a white feather, how the women going around handing any man they saw still in the country and not in uniform, a white feather. So there was that, and that in a way kind of goes to what they titled this, to talk about, what's the wording they used? Talk about humiliating alternatives and how they were treated. But this was talking about World War One. And it goes on to World War II, and it says that by then, a lot of the punishments were somewhat softer. It said you'd face more likely to face a civilian tribunal than a military tribunal. And that in many ways it was a deliberate change, not so much because they wanted to treat them any better, but because there was more acceptance of the refusal after having seen the violence of World War One. But there was also the biggest problem being a lack of manpower. So rather than chucking them into jail, it was more useful to negotiate and find ways in which they could be used to serve the war effort, perhaps in a medical capacity or things like this instead. So it goes on to finish with, is conscription likely in the UK? And its resort after this whole article is, well, they reckon it's still quite unlikely. They say it was scrapped in the UK in 1963, and this was several decades earlier than most other European countries. And their argument for why this occurs and for why they say it's still unlikely is the idea that Britain, because Britain's in Ireland, it's less at risk from invasion than, say, mainland countries in Europe. So they say, no, we don't think it's very likely that Britain will go down the conscription route. We think it's much more likely that they do something voluntary in the way that France and Germany have. And they phrased it almost sort of offering like a military taster course, where you could have you could give it a taste of military life before you signed up fully. And this is what they're saying they reckon is most likely. So they're not telling you what, I keep forgetting the terminology they use. They're not telling you what humiliating alternative awaits you, but they are suggesting it may be introduced as a taster, so you could try out military life. You could get your 7-day free trial or your 6-month free trial or whatever it was. But that got me to thinking. I'm thinking, so they're going to train you up into a military role and then just let you drift back to civilian world? That doesn't seem very likely to me. Now, to me, that suggests, well, we'll start this now, or we'll start this in the next few months or the next year or so, maybe. We'll introduce this idea. So you can come in and give it a go. You can come in and we'll train you up. And then if you don't like it, you don't have to stay a full-time member of the military. But we've trained you up. We've suddenly got you on a reservist list. And suddenly when we do go into boots on the ground World War, then suddenly you're going to find your name at the top of the conscription list. But that's just me. That's probably just me being a crazy conspiracy theorist. But to ask a question which they do not answer, to put newspaper article after newspaper article, I found at least 6 this year when I was trying to find this one again. And there were many going through December, November, October last year. They don't keep asking all of these. And yes, in some ways it is what the TA is about in a way. But they don't keep asking all these questions. They don't keep writing articles about this if we're not seriously considering it, if we're not considering that option. So are we going to see only 11% agree? Are we going to see 41% of the younger generation turn into conscientious objectors? I'd like to believe it. I'm not sure that I do. Don't know what you guys think.
I think if you just conduct a poll, which is probably what, I don't know what the range of, people they asked, then yeah, you're going to get answers like that, I think, because I just think there is a general, how can I put it? There's a general awareness now that just what we use our military for, and the ridiculous adventures that we get ourselves involved in, and the fact that many people don't agree with, the fact that Russia wants to invade the whole of Europe, just as many people don't agree that Iran wants to bomb America, which they haven't done since 1979. So why all of a sudden do they want to do it now? Well, perhaps it's because you're bombing them. Just maybe, just maybe. But no, I do think that the idea of military service as a duty to your country, that idea has gone. It's an idea that clung on in society that was highly stratified, highly ranked, as you might say. That was a duty that you owed to your country to perform military service and go and fight in wars. And I think that's a general reflection that attitude, a more enlightened attitude, I would say, has risen. I think that's my sort of take on it.
Yeah. What would you say the general viewpoint is under the younger generation over there, Angela? Are they buying the whole military dream, or are they saying no?
I think it widely varies, honestly. Yeah. I think over here a lot of it has to do with what the parents, it seems. Yeah.
Yeah, like military families. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, like, if your family is more of like a free thinking family, you're going to come to your own conclusions, and usually you come to about the same conclusion because anyone with like common sense.
Well, exactly.
But then you have other ones that are just like, it has to be this way because this is the party and da 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 and nothing else and blinders. You know what I mean?
Well,
So I don't know which one's going to win out, honestly.
I also think there's a great pressure not to suddenly spring this on people, not to suddenly announce, we're gonna have conscription. I think there's a kind of softly approach to this. We'll just let you have a little taster and see what you like. You might like it. You never know. You might like it. And therefore, because all of this is going to take an awful lot of investment. It takes a lot of investment to train. Anybody, whether that's in the Navy, the Air Force, the Army, whatever branch of service you're in, it's not cheap. And there needs to be a return on that investment. So, I don't know. I think this is a kind of, they're baiting the trap. I think it feels that way to me. They're kind of putting bait out to lure people in. And I think, as we were saying this afternoon, within the sort of wider employment world, the jobs market is shrinking. The jobs market, especially, is shrinking in areas that can easily be done by robotics, or an AI and things like that. So there's an increasing number of people that need an avenue, and quite often it's pushed. And it was even when I joined up. It's pushed that this training that you get, this might be highly technical training on systems and things like that, is gonna be a springboard for you in your later life. Join up, get a trade, learn a very specific set of skills that will give you a springboard into other things. I also think that's fading. That is fading. Because you see a lot of post-military people now who are completely unemployed or
they're lost.
So
they got left behind. While they were busy serving their country, sadly.
Things changed, moved on.
Like having the rug pulled out from under you.
But also that situation of increasing unemployment, increasing lack of any real jobs and things like that, actually feeds the military. Because it kind of funnels people towards that. I think we might have been saying that this afternoon.
And the younger people, when you come from like a poor family or maybe not the best, and you're trying to find your own way and find somewhere where you belong or could fit into, and also that they still pay for college, I guess, apparently, but I don't know how much of that's going to be around soon, college in general, except for like, from what I've been hearing, except for like the really big things that takes a special, like being a doctor or a surgeon. But even that, I had read that doctors pretty much are going to be out of work before 2040.
Replaced by AI and robotic surgery and things like that. There's even
AI doesn't misdiagnose. Sorry.
No. Have you seen? There's an AI hospital in China that is completely run by AI. They have very little staff. Everything is moved around on this kind of system of rails in the roof and robotic sort of suitcase
Wow.
type things that take everything. So and the beds, if a patient needs to be moved from one department to another, the beds are self-driving. There's no porter with it, they're just moving around. This is real, and this is the future that I think that we're facing. So we're going to have an awful lot of people with nothing to do, generations growing up with no prospects and no future, and that is a great pool of potential for military, for the military to use. Oh, well, you can't get a job in civilian life. You come with us. Come and be a soldier. Be this. Be that. Go to interesting places around the world and kill people. So it's I think that's where it's one aspect of it. So
Yeah, they don't take care of the veterans like they used to either. So it's not as enticing to go in, because these kids now they've been alive long enough, or the veterans have been on the streets long enough, living homeless and being treated poorly and kind of put down in a sense in the past few years, almost like the Islamophobia, but on military veterans. They're trying to make people afraid of them, like they're dangerous people. It seems over
many
here,
of them are,
and so the
potentially,
kids are seeing that what's the point of going in if there's not going to be college, and if they're not going to take care of me, right? And they're just gonna go off, and the smart ones know, because they know that they would just be used to go do the bidding. But
you're right.
those are the ones that are left after all the you don't qualify because of this and that and this, medications or mental health or physical health,
which in their conscription terms is an advantage. If you don't want to be conscripted, it helps to have a medical condition. I really can't join the army because I've got low-level anxiety or whatever. I don't know.
I think you're going to find it gets to the stage as with Ukraine that none of these things will get you out.
No, not when you've been bundled into the back of a van.
It's the crazies, though. It's the crazy people, and I say that wholeheartedly. The people who don't go and get help for their mental issues, there's a lot of them, because certain mental health issues will not go get help unless they are like in prison and forced to, and some, or forced by a family court type thing. Those are the ones that go undetected. It's kind of like you don't know who the child predator or whatever is unless they've already been caught at least once, right? Usually. So it's like that too with this and with ICE. And you get psychos.
In some cases, I've got an understanding for, you say people won't go and get help, but why would you trust the medical industry? And I'm going to call it an industry because it effectively is. Why would you want to trust that? So I can understand that. But when if you're talking about predators and you're talking about people, that sort of thing, I'm reluctant to consider that sort of thing. I'm reluctant to consider that sort of thing a mental condition, because I feel like it gives them an opt-out. Whereas if you're preying on kids,
you can have nasty mental conditions, like psychopaths. A lot of them, not all psychopaths are murderers, but it's pretty high. So I don't know. It's just it's like you're scraping the bottom of the barrel with the people, I feel like, who want to go in if there's nothing to gain.
I'm sorry if you can hear my dog. She seems to be having some kind of little dream where she's going.
Oh, that's cute. When they run in their sleep.
That's
cute.
It's probably reliving her walk that she had
Yeah.
earlier. So,
Oh,
animals live very uncomplicated lives. Very
wouldn't that be
uncomplicated.
nice?
Mm.
That would be so nice. Like
That's
when we
what-
were kids, our worlds were so small, even though it felt
Yeah.
so big.
Mm.
Now we wish it were smaller again. It's too big.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just you, your friends, and this sort of where you played, and then I don't know. We used to go off on adventures on our bikes. You know,
Oh yeah.
But
Nobody knew where
it
we
was
were.
that. I think we talked about this before. You know, the kind of
Yeah.
be like when the streetlights come on, sort of culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, our parents
Yeah.
must have lived very uncomplicated lives. No little kids squealing for attention all the time. You know, I'm bored.
Yeah.
I'm bored. I'm bored. I was never bored as a child. Never. I
Yeah.
can't remember ever being bored. There's always some shit to get up to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. The only time would be with like if you're grounded.
yeah,
That's different. That's them doing it on purpose. Otherwise, they want you out of their hair.
No, and we didn't have any screens. You know, there were no mobile phones, no tablets, no laptops, no desktops, no any of that. You had to make your own fucking entertainment. Yes,
We had better memories then too, because we had to memorize phone numbers.
It's true.
Oh yeah, you said that. Yeah. I remember playing with spark plugs. I had a spark plug collection.
Oh yeah.
And I would turn those spark plugs into all sorts. One day there'd be spaceships. Another day I would line them all up with little sticks, and they would have little wars. Anything, you know. I mean,
Yeah. You remember those glass fuses in the fuse box, the old fuses?
Oh yeah.
Did they have those glass ones? They look like miniature little doorknobs.
Like valve things.
Yeah, they were
radio
cool. Play with
valves.
those too when they'd go bad. Yeah.
Yeah, my.
Never had that.
I found a shit ton of those in my father-in-law's garage, all wrapped up in newspaper. And I sold them all on eBay. I made loads of money. Some of them are quite valuable, you know.
Wow.
So rare ones, like £150 for one I got. So must have been fairly rare. So, but yeah, he had loads of them because that's what he did. That was his. He was an amateur radio kind of guy. He liked like fixing and repairing radio stuff. You know, when you could fix stuff yourself. Even TVs he used to fix. You know, so he was that kind of guy.
That made us smarter too. You know, because we had to figure that stuff out.
Yeah, I mean, these days, if something breaks, you throw it away, don't you? You know, how often do you?
It depends on if
you know, fix it. What do you mean fix it? I'll get a new one. You know,
some things they make on purpose to not be fixed.
Oh yeah. Well, you can't even change the battery in your mobile phone anymore. You know, you can't get into the damn thing, and it's not meant to be changed. So you end up with a drawer full of dead phones. So.
Yeah, I remember when I don't know, maybe over a decade ago. Yeah, maybe just over a decade ago, they did have it where you could switch the battery out, but then if you broke the seal, it showed a thing, and then they knew, and you had to pay full price for them to repair it for you after that point, or something. But that was maybe that was more than 10 years ago. So now it's $500 to replace the glass.
People don't even wait for things to break, do they? I mean, you change the floor of your kitchen, you change all your appliances. People change things like that all the time. It's just modern life. It's just the way it is. But it's all based on cheap availability from China.
Yeah, that's why none of it lasts. That's why none of it lasts. It's all junk. Yeah.
Buy a new one. Yeah.
I don't know that one now, to be honest. I think if it's cheap crap from China and it doesn't last, it's been made not to last for the European and the American market. I remember that it was when I was in JTON and we were selling the nuts and bolts, and we had somebody talking about, because we used to buy a lot of stuff from China, and they were talking about, you've got to watch the agreement, because they told us this story about somebody going out there and they ordered a wholesale lot basically on light bulbs, and they said that they'd allow a I don't know, something like 1.3%. They'd allow 1.3% of them to be dud, basically, or to be blown. Because I mean, light bulb, it doesn't take a lot to in the old school ones, it wouldn't take a lot to damage the filament and things in your transport all the way from China by sea or whatever. So they'd allow this allowance of 1.3%. Oh, they got their shipment, and the number that was damaged was under the 1.3%. But they were all in the one package.
Oh, God.
So it wasn't like that package had been damaged or anything like that. It was like, these are all your things, and all your dud ones are in that pack. It wasn't said like this, but all your dud ones are in that package there because you allowed us that. So we're going to deliver to what you allowed us.
Yeah.
I once got a great advantage from ordering direct from China because I ordered what's called a jeweler's loop. You know, one of these things that you can look down at hallmarks and things.
Yeah.
And this thing had little lights on it and everything, and it would do it. And so I ordered one, and I got one case. One case of 144 jeweler's loops for £3.25 or something like that. So I thought, well, they're bound to contact me and say, "Oh, we've made a mistake." Nope, they never did. We sent you one case. They were obviously used to dealing in wholesale and not individual sales, because I bought one.
Funny.
That was great. I sold them on eBay.
Yeah, I was to say you should have. That's awesome.
Yeah, so sometimes it can work to your advantage, but mostly it doesn't. We've got a joke going around. You have Temu, don't you, over there as well? Do you have Temu?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all over Facebook.
It's everywhere. Well, the joke is, a Temu warehouse caught fire the other day. Literally tens of pounds worth of stuff went up in flames. It's just,
I quite like Temu. Temu, to be fair.
It's not bad. I've got shitloads of stuff from Temu. Yeah.
I have never ordered from them. I thought it was all junk.
You've got to learn to be discreet and discerning in it, and you've got to learn to play the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Never go for their 6 items free, because you'll pay it on what you have. You'll pay it extra on what you have to buy to get the 6 items free.
There, yeah.
Oh, and that I see.
You have all these little things like that. Like that. You can't lose on that game.
In your box. Yeah. If you want it, stick it in your basket and then go away. And they'll bring the price down, and they'll bring it down on that individual item. That's your way to get a deal from them.
Yeah.
Ah.
You have to read. You have to read the sizes and read everything. I don't have a problem with sizes and clothes, funny enough. They used to say sizes on clothes are out, but they're usually quite good on there. It's just whether something's like thin paper or small or cheap plastic, or whether when you think it's something else. But like I say, you just have to read what you're buying.
Yeah.
And like you say, measurements is very important, because a lot of things seem to be smaller than what you'd expect. And it used to be that way with clothes. They would have like small, medium, large, extra large, XX large, but it was kind of not based on the European body. So
I remember it wasn't American either. It was based on them.
You ended up with clothes that were like tiny. So
very.
I used to have to get a 5XL if I bought it from China.
It's huge.
It wasn't from China. It used to be about my size.
They've caught up now a bit.
That's crazy.
But I just had two lounger chairs. Two sun lounger chairs just turned up today. and yesterday there was I built a new shed for my wife's mobility scooter, and an aluminium ramp turned up yesterday. So something's turning up every day. It's mainly because I don't know what the hell my wife's ordering. She's just ordering stuff, and then she orders
therapy.
Stuff. Yeah, it's retail therapy. Why have you bought that? Well, I thought it might be good. Well, why has it been in the drawer for 6 months? Yeah, it's not really very good. Yeah, yeah, but I don't mind. It keeps her happy. So.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Have we got to Clinton? The Clinton
You
moment?
have, I think.
All right.
Are we on to
this
that?
is not going to be very long.
No.
It's not going to be very long.
2.25 hours already, so we'll do Clinton and then we'll round
I'm just
it up.
going to end on. So we've saved the worst till last.
Yeah.
Right. So Hillary Clinton, she's denied any knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes, and she's attacked US politicians for their line of questioning because she was summoned before the House Oversight Committee to be questioned. And she's lashed out at them, and she was actually compelled to attend. She wouldn't have gone voluntary. And after the sort of deposition that she gave, she told reporters, she came out and she sort of held this press conference. And she told reporters, and I'll use her words, I thought it was very repetitive. They asked literally the same question over and over again, which didn't seem to me to be very productive. I did not know Jeffrey Epstein, she said. I never went to his island. I never went to his homes. I never went to his offices, she said. And then she added that the questions became more and more bizarre and off subject. It then got, at the end, quite unusual, she said, because I started being asked about UFOs and a series of questions about Pizzagate. Which she called one of the most vile, bogus conspiracy theories that was ever propagated on the internet. Now, Pizzagate was actually a conspiracy theory. This again was her word. She said, Pizzagate was a conspiracy theory they tried to smear me with in the 2016 election. And she then went on to make what you might call a blistering attack on the Oversight Committee itself, saying it was a cover to protect Donald Trump. And then she claimed that she was compelled to testify to distract attention from President Trump. Now, her husband, Bill, is due to appear before that Oversight Committee on Friday. And that might be a different kettle of fish because we know that Bill Clinton definitely did associate with Jeffrey Epstein. There are many, many photographs of him, associating with Jeffrey Epstein. So it might be a completely different story. I think the point that she raised that Pizzagate was a vile conspiracy that was cooked up against her in the 2016 elections, I'm not sure of the validity of that, because we're more and more finding out, there you go, that there seems to be a lot more to that. There seems to be a lot more truth to that than the hooved one would like you to believe. So I have, and I must admit, I have searched for pictures of her with Jeffrey Epstein, because I would love to think that she did associate with Jeffrey Epstein, but either she was very careful never to be photographed, or she actually didn't associate with, unlike her husband, didn't associate with Jeffrey Epstein. And I think there might be something in this whole idea that this witch hunt, this oversight committee, is literally being used in order to kind of push people in front of Trump. I don't know. Maybe that, maybe not, because I think that, you know, the people on that committee really do want to try and get to the bottom of just who knew what, who was doing what. So I'm a bit torn two ways on that. So I don't know. What do you think? He said, putting the both on the spot.
I don't know, really, because the problem with the Epstein files is there's so many of them. And that was done deliberately, and that was fully intentionally. And if you try to find images in the Epstein files, most of them are, you know, like you get on your phone or like a digital camera, and it's like image _0392657729. They're all labeled like that, or they're labeled DSC or whatever for the other digital sort of camera version. So you can't search. You can search on the Epstein file releases, but you can't search the images that way. You have to just try and find them under it by searching image or searching DSC or whatever, and then you have to sit there and wade through. And they're on big sheets and they're like icons, so you have to. You can't like scan through quickly. You have to go into every one and try and zoom in,
tedious.
try and see what there. It's tedious, and I'd say deliberately so. So there could be images of her with him in there, but you wouldn't find them that easily.
There's apparently
like
emails between them, or not. There's emails. I don't know if it's between them, but it's between. I saw one. I don't know how legitimate it is, but the from was blacked out, redacted, and then the body was redacted.
Yeah,
but
that's
it
what
was
they keep doing. So you can't always. I've not searched Hillary Clinton on there. I'll be honest. I don't think she's one of the ones I have searched on there yet. I'm gonna have to now to see what comes up. But
I saw that Jeffrey Epstein was emailed by someone and then responded, I believe it was, with setting up a meeting with Hillary Clinton. That they're very difficult to come upon, apparently, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
But we don't know.
There's something inherently.
We don't know what's in the body.
There's something inherently fishy about that woman. She was keeping. She had a private server. She was emailing all sorts of people. She was caught destroying mobile phones. You know, she was up to her neck in a lot of shit, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if that trail led to Epstein in any way, because her husband was associating with Epstein. Now, that's not to say I'm not tarring her with the same brush, but she was an inherently.
He's up to her neck in shit.
She was a shady character.
She's at everything that they're at. Whether she was directly connected with with Epstein's side of it, that I can't tell. That I don't know. But in her own right, she's up to everything that they could be up to, and she knows exactly what the likes of Pizzagate and all that is. It's not some wild conspiracy to her. She knows exactly what it all is. She's involved in it, all of it.
Yeah.
But the only one I don't know is whether she directly connected to Epstein or not.
Ghislaine Maxwell was at their daughter's wedding, so.
Was she? Yeah.
That
suggests a connection.
Photograph. Yeah. She was.
But she's very clever. In some ways, she's very clever, Hillary. She's the brains behind the thing. Bill, not so much, I don't think.
Yeah, I concur with that. Yeah.
It doesn't make it a good thing, and it doesn't make her a good. Far from makes her a good person, but I think she could have been clever enough to keep herself out of any evidence.
There were no pictures of her actually eating babies.
Maybe the only hope we have is that they do get so drunk on power that they screw up, because their heads get so inflated they think they can get away with everything and anything at some point, right?
Yeah,
has to
a lot of them
go
do
on
have a
Many
making
did hence the
slips,
Epstein
don't they?
files at all, but
Sorry,
Yeah.
let's get the dog out.
no worries.
Okay.
But many of them did. They did get to that point, and that hence you've got
Yeah.
the Epstein files, because it was a honeypot effectively, and it's getting the information and the dirt on these people to people who want to control them.
Well, now everyone in the files is just using it to their own advantage to smear everyone else, even if they're friends with them behind closed doors, because it's all an act.
Oh yeah, I mean, anybody will throw anybody else
point.
in front of the bus, and if they think they can save themselves, won't they? They're going to do that.
Yeah.
But I think we've barely scraped the surface of those that should be behind bars. We've barely scraped the surface. We've been offered some sacrificial lambs, like in this country. We've been offered Edward and Andrew.
Yeah, but he's not in jail.
He won't go to jail.
Grace.
Yeah.
Andrew, I can't remember Andrew's name because I have a pathological hatred of the Royals. And that you might, as far as I'm concerned, they're a generic lump. You could just attach any name to that lump. It is the royal symbiote. Just because Andrew had committed broke the 11th commandment, thou shalt not get caught. That's the 11th commandment. He broke that, and that he will be the fall guy for the Royals, I believe, who I believe in some respects are all pretty much involved in some way or another. And then, of course, you've got Peter Mandelson, who again is kind of taking the fall for the kind of government side. And those, I think that's it. I don't. We're supposed to just believe that we caught the bad guy now and it's all over.
Yeah. No. There's too many bad guys and women to count.
Yeah.
And now we're at war, so we
don't think about it.
We don't have to think about that anymore. No, it's all, we haven't got time to think about this crap because we've got countries to bomb.
Yeah.
So,
like that's going to help anything, right? Oh my God.
Indeed.
Yeah. We have a country that's part of the royal family of the so-called rulers of has been caught associating with, and we know it sounds like worse, but associating with paedophiles and child traffickers. We've got high-end government advisors and impositions of authority in that government being proven to be associating with known child traffickers and child rapists, and we're supposed to see Iran as the axis of evil, Russia as the axis of evil.
Indeed.
Yeah. They just want to be left alone.
Reversed.
Yeah, both of them.
And I fully understand that feeling. I do. I like people until they become, horrible pains in the ass, like, I don't know. I care about the human condition, but the ones that are creating all this horrible hatred, I could go without.
I'm still in favour of giving the list to Dexter.
Yeah, I like that idea. That was a really good show.
Yeah.
Hey, if we have one person in each major country to take the fall for the Epstein, we need a Dexter also for every single country.
Yeah, there's a lot of people to be eaten. Yeah, there's a lot of people to be stored in a freezer unit. Yeah. It's a big job. We're going to need an army of Dexters.
Yeah.
I never watched the second series. I watched the kind of first. I can't remember how many seasons, but
Yeah.
they brought it out again, and I've not watched any of those.
I
have you
tried.
been
It's hard
watching
to get into. I
Oh,
think it's written a little differently, maybe.
Oh,
I don't know. It's different. It's not as good to me. Sequels can be like that sometimes. Yeah. So I just kind of stopped watching it because life was more important to work on.
I've been
And
watching
sleep.
the. You ever watch the OA?
That's that. Is that one where it takes place near the ocean? Near the beach? Is that what that is?
It's a woman who are at,
no.
it's all about she goes through this, she grows up in Russia and she ends up going through this near death experience when she's a child.
No, I haven't.
She comes back blind, and then when she's older, she gets captured by this guy who's investigating near-death experience and keeps 5 of these people in his basement and kills them over and over and over again. And then, but they every time she,
nightmares like that.
it's quite interesting. And then they learn all these movements that enable them to, and eventually they manage to jump into a parallel universe. But because they're somehow bound together, that guy's there in that universe, and he's jumped as well. And it's quite interesting. It's quite fascinating. But anyway, I don't want to bore you with all that.
I might start watching. No, you're fine. I might look that up and actually find something interesting to watch.
I found it quite good.
Yeah.
It just has a lot of concepts in it that
OA. Okay.
The OA, it's called. Just 2 letters, OA. The OA.
Yeah. I must be thinking of a different show that takes place over here as the setting or whatever.
Well, the second season set in this new dimension, and it's in Los Angeles. So that's where that's set. But the first series isn't.
Yeah. I like stuff on near-death experiences because I've had a couple. Myself, so
okay,
those are really interesting. I like the have you heard of the telepathy tapes or telepathy files?
The telepathy files? No.
With the children that have like severe autism where they're nonverbal. Yeah, they've been studying that.
Right. Now that would be interesting. I used to work with that. I used to work with that kind of individual. That was my basic day job for several years. I was a teacher for high end on the spectrum autistic young adults who were extremely challenging because most of them they were non-verbal, quite violent, extremely challenging environment, but just every so often it was so rewarding when you actually made any kind of connection with these kids. It was just that kind of job. It was a roller coaster. You could get really deep lows of thinking, I'm going to give up. I can't do anything. And then something would happen and you'd be on a high. And you'd think, wow, I actually made I managed to reach in there and make something of this, So,
make a difference.
But anyway. Yeah. So I could believe that. I could imagine that some of them were able to develop their senses differently and communicate differently.
Like with the primary caregiver, regardless of if it's a mom or a dad or an older sibling or just like a carer that like a nanny maybe
connected with
sometimes. And they can see what the other person is seeing in their brain.
Wow.
And they can draw it from another room or from a different location altogether.
You'll have to bring us something on that. That would be fascinating.
I'll try to find that.
Try and find something on it.
Yeah.
There's always subjects to explore. Right. Yeah. I think we're pushing the time envelope, aren't we now?
Oh, we are.
I think we are, but yeah.
Always is.
Sunday evening now. I'll be back on Tuesday at 9 p.m. with Gleam in the North. Ian will be back on Wednesday at 7 p.m. with Smokem. Glenn will be back on Friday at 7:30 with The Man in Black. We'll be back next Sunday afternoon at 1:50 with Lone Gunman Rides again, and then at 8 p.m. next Sunday evening with more from Last Jacobites International. So take care. Have a good week. Like we said this afternoon, live your lives and enjoy every moment. Take care, and we will see you soon. Good night.
Good night.
Stay with us, Angela. Stay with us. Stay with us.
Oh, okay.
Okay, stay
Okay.
with us. All right.
I will. Tell.
We are the last Jacobites, proud and free, will not be bought nor bend the knee. Like Arbroath's cry and freedom's flame, we rise as one and stake our claim. Oh, side by side through storm and fight, we stand as one in truth and right. From every shore we answer the call, Clan Jacobite, we rise or fall. It matters not our skin or land, but hearts as one and hand in hand. The blood we share is brave and bold, in woven dreams and legends old. Oh, side by side through storm and fight, we stand as one in truth and right. From every shore we answer the call, Clan Jacobite, we rise or fall. I am you and you are me, a thread within this tapestry. For hopes of all, for every name, we light the fire, we keep the flame. No sea can part us, nor the land. Together strong, we proudly stand. With courage, truth, and spirits high, we pledge our oath beneath the sky. Oh, side by side through storm and fight, we stand as one in truth and right. Raise the banner.